Well, hello. This is Famous and Great, Great Isakov the Great, broadcasting to you as usual from my YouTube channel, as I try to do many times per day. I'm out to make a record here, and of the amount of material that is posted, so it's important to keep cranking it out every day, right? So anyway, today I want to do something kind of special. It's one of my most treasured fairy tales of all time. It's by Hans Christian Andersen, actually. But of course, him being one of the geniuses of fairy tales, it does not surprise anyone, certainly not me. Anyway, this happens to be the very first story that's in this book. And I read it the other night to my son, who I called Charlie Brown. And looks just like me, 7. Yeah. So anyway, he's a charmer. Oh, you'll fall in love with him in a second. You can't help yourself. But, and oh my goodness, the ladies, when he gets older. Anyway, this is called the Tinderbox, and without further ado, I'm going to get to it. And I'm also, I hope, maybe in this same film, I'm going to read what is now one of his favorite stories for himself, which I read to him yesterday, and it's called The Fisherman and His Wife. So if you don't know that one, you're in for a double treat here today. It's a double feature of English Ned. The Tinderbox. Left, right, left, right. Down the country road came a soldier marching. Left, right, left, right. He had his knapsack on his back and a sword at his side, for he had been at war, and now he was on his way home. But then he met an old witch on the road. Oh, she was ugly, her. Lower lip hung right down to her chest. Good evening, soldier, she said. What a nice sword you got, and what a big knapsack. You're a proper soldier. Now, I'll show you how to get just as much money as you could ever want. Thank you very much, old dame, said the soldier. You see that big tree over there? Said the witch, pointing to a tree nearby. It's quite hollow inside. Now, you must climb right up it, and then you see a hole. You slip through this, and you come deep down into the tree. I will tie a rope round your waist so that you can haul you up again as soon as you give me a shout. But what am I to do down in the tree? Asked the soldier. Fetch money, answered the witch. For mind you, when you get down to the bottom of the tree, you'll find yourself in a large passage. It's quite light there, because hundreds of lamps are burning there. Next, you'll see 3 doors. You can open them all right. For the key's in the lock. If you go into the first room, you see in the middle of the floor a big chest with a dog sitting on it, which has got eyes as big as teacups. Something like that. Never you mind about that. I'll give you my blue check apron. You can spread it out on the floor. Then go along quickly, lift off the dog and put it on my apron. Open the lid of the chest and take just as many pennies as you like. They're all copper. But if you'd rather have silver, then you must go into the next room. There sits a dog with eyes big as mill wheels. Never you mind about that. Put that dog down on my apron and help yourself to that money. And yet, if it be gold you want, go into the third room. But this time the dog which is sitting on that money chest has 2 eyes each one big as a round tower. Yeah. But never you mind about that, as you might have well guessed. You just put that dog on my blue check apron, and then it won't do you any harm, and you can take as much of that gold for yourself as you want. That doesn't sound at all bad, said the soldier. But tell me, old witch, what am I to give you? Because I expect you'll be wanting your share. No, said the witch, not a single penny will I take. You simply got to bring me an old tinderbox that my grandmother forgot when she was last down there. Oh, come on then, let me get that rope round my middle, said the soldier. Here it is, said the witch. Here's my blue check apron. Then the soldier crawled up the tree, let himself down, plump, through the hole. Now he's standing, as the witch had said, down in the great passage, where there's hundreds of lamps that are all burning. Then he unlocked the first door. Oh! There sat the dog with eyes as big as teacups, saying, "Glad at him." You are a nice chap, you are, said the soldier. He put down the witch's apron and put that dog on it and took just as many copper pennies as he could stuff into his pockets. Then he shut the chest, put the dog up again, and went into the second room. Bless my soul. There sat the dog with two eyes each as big as a mill wheel. You shouldn't stare at me so, said the soldier. You strain your eyes. And then he put that dog down on the witch's apron. When he saw such piles of silver in the chest, he threw away all the coppers he had got and filled up his pocket and his knapsack with nothing but silver. Now, went into the third room. Oh, but it was horrible. The dog in there actually had got two great eyes, big as a round tower. And they were going round and round and round and round and round in its head like wheels. Oh, Lordy. Good evening, said the soldier, and touched his cap. Because never in his life had he seen such a dog. But after he looked at it for a bit, he thought to himself, enough of that, and went and lifted the dog down onto the floor and opened the chest. Why, goodness gracious, what a lot of gold there was. It was enough for him to buy the whole of Copenhagen. All the sugar pigs that the cake women sell, and the unsoldiers and whips and rocking horses in the world. Yeah, plenty of money in there. My word, there was. So, at once, the soldier emptied out all the silver coins from his pockets and his knapsack and put in gold instead. Yeah. And he filled up everything with gold, his pockets, his knapsack, his cap, even his boots. So he could hardly walk. But now he got him some money. He put that dog back on the chest, slammed the door, and then shouted through the tree, "Mother, haul me up again, will you?" "Have you got the tinderbox?" asked the witch. "Oh no, that's true. I clean forgotten that," said the soldier. And he went straight back and fetched it. The witch hauled him up out of the tree, and there he was, standing on the road with his pockets, boots, cap, and knapsack bulging with money. "What are you going to do with this tinderbox?" asked the soldier. "That's no business of yours," answered the witch. "You got your money. Now just give me my tinderbox." "Rubbish," said the soldier. "Tell me at once what you want to do with it, or I'll have out my sword and cut your head off." "No," said the witch. So he cut off her head, and there she lay. But the soldier tied up all his money in her apron, made a bundle of it to go on his back, put that tinderbox in his pocket and went straight on into the town. It was a fine town. He put up at the finest inn. He ordered the very best rooms and the food he was most fond of, for now he had all that money, he was a rich man. The servant who had to clean his boots thought, well, this was a funny old pair of boots for such a rich gentleman to have, but he hadn't yet bought any new ones. Next day, he went out and got some good boots and some really smart clothes. Now the soldier had to become quite a fashionable gentleman, and they told him all about the sights of their town and about their king, and what a pretty princess his daughter was. Where's she to be seen? Said the soldier. She isn't to be seen, they all answered. She lives in a big copper castle with a lot of walls and towers all around it. No one but the king is allowed to go to her there, because a fortune teller once said that she is to marry a common soldier. The king doesn't like that at all. My word, I should like to see her, thought the soldier. But of course, he couldn't possibly get leave to. He was always going to the theater now. He lived a merry life, a driving in the park, and he gave away lots of money to the poor. That was very nice of him, you see. He remembered so well from the old days how awful it was to be absolutely penniless. But now he was rich and well-dressed, and so he made lots of friends who all said what a fine fellow he was, a real gentleman, and the soldier liked that very much. But as he was spending money every day and never getting any back, at last he had only got tuppence left. So he had to move from them fine rooms he'd been living in, go and live in a little pokey attic right under the roof. It leaked. Had to clean his own boots, met him with a darning needle. None of his friends ever came to see him. It was such a lot of stairs to climb. One evening, when it was quite dark and he couldn't even buy himself a candle, he suddenly remembered that there was a little bit of candle left in the tinderbox he got for the old witch out of a hollow tree. He got out that tinderbox and bit that little candle, but just as soon as he was striking a light and the sparks flew up from the flint, the door sprang open, and the dog he had seen down in the tree, with eyes as big as teacups, stood there before him and said, "What are my lord's commands?" "I say," said the soldier, "this must be some queer sort of tinderbox. If I can get whatever I want like that, bring me some money," he said to the dog. Then flick, and away it went, and flick, here it was back again, with a large bag full of pennies in its mouth. Now the soldier realized what a splendid tinderbox it was. One stroke brought it before him the dog which sat on the chest with the copper money, 2 strokes the dog with the silver, and 3 the dog with the gold. Soldier lost no time in changing back into them fine rooms and smart clothes, and of course all his friends remembered him again at once, and were tremendously fond of him. And then one day he thought to himself, there's something queer about this, that no one's allowed to see this princess. She's supposed to be so very lovely according to all these people, but what's the good of that? All those towers? She has to sit the whole time inside that copper castle? Can't I possibly manage to see her somehow? Now then, where's my tinderbox? So he struck a light, and flick, there stood that dog with the eyes as big as teacups. "Of course I know it's the middle of the night," said the soldier. "All the same, I would like to see the princess. That I would. Just for half a jiffy." The dog was out of the floor and out that door in a flash. Before the soldier had time to even think about it, there was the dog again with the princess lying asleep on his back. And she looked so lovely. anyone could see that she was a real princess. And the soldier simply could not resist. He had to kiss her. He was a soldier all over. Then the dog scuttled back again with the princess. But in the morning, when the king and queen were at breakfast, the princess said she had such a curious dream in the night about a dog and a soldier. She had ridden on the dog's back, and the soldier had kissed her. "That's a pretty tale, if you like," said the queen. And so, one of the old ladies in waiting was told to sit up the following night by the princess' bed and see if it really was a dream or not. Soldier did so long for another look at that pretty princess, and so up came the dog by night and took her and dashed off at full speed. But the old lady in waiting put on her overboots and ran along just as fast after them. When she saw them disappear into a big house, she thought to herself, "Now I know where it is." Chalked up a big cross on the door. Then she went home to bed, and the dog came back too with the princess. But when that dog saw a cross had been chalked on the door where the soldier was living, the dog also took a bit of chalk, put a cross on every door in the town. That was a clever idea, you see, because now the lady in waiting couldn't find the right door, as there were crosses on a whole lot of them. Early in the morning, the king and queen, the old lady in waiting, and all the court officials sallied forth in order to see where the princess had been. "Here's a house," said the king, when he saw the first door with a cross on it. "No, it's there, darling," said the queen, catching sight of the second door with a cross on it. "But here's another, and there's another," they all kept saying, whichever way they turned. There were crosses on the doors. So then, they soon realized it was no good searching any longer for that. But the queen, was a very clever woman who could do more than just drive out in a coach. She took a great golden scissors and cut up a large piece of silk and sewed the pieces together into a pretty little bag, which she filled with the finest buckwheat flour. She fastened that little bag on the princess' back, and then she snipped a little hole in the bag so as to sprinkle that flour everywhere the princess went. At night, up came the dog once more, took the princess on his back, and ran off with her to the soldier, who loved her so dearly and did so wish he were a prince and could marry her. Oh, the dog never noticed how the flour kept leaking out all the way from the castle to the soldier's window, where it ran up the wall with the princess. The next morning it was quite plain to the king and queen where their daughter had been going, so they took that soldier and put him in prison, right down in that dungeon. There he sat. How dark and dreary his cell was. Besides, they kept saying to him, "Tomorrow you're going to be hanged." That didn't sound at all cheerful. And the worst of it was, he left his tinderbox at the inn. In the morning, through the iron bars of a little window, you could watch people hurrying out of the town to see him hanged. I heard the drums and saw the soldiers marching past. Everyone was afoot. Among them was a cobbler's boy in leather apron and slippers. He was trotting along so fast that one of his slippers came off and flew right against the wall where the soldier was peeping out between the iron bars. "I say, you young soldier, cobbler, you don't need to hurry like that." The soldier said to him, "They can't begin without me." "Well, look here, if you'll kindly run along to where I've been living, fetch me my tinderbox, you'll have tuppence for your trouble. But mind you, get a move on. Cobbler's boy was very glad to earn tuppence. So he sprinted off with that tinderbox, brought it to the soldier, and well now, listen to what happened. Outside the town, a high gallows had been built. And round about it stood the soldiers and thousands of people. King and queen sat on a beautiful throne opposite the judge and all his counselors. Well, already, the soldier climbed that ladder. But just as they were going to put that rope round his neck, he reminded them that before being executed, a principal always has a right to ask for one harmless favor. He said he'd so like to smoke a pipe of tobacco, as it would be the last pipe of tobacco he'd have in this life. Now, King didn't like to say no to that. So the soldier took his tinderbox and struck a light. 1, 2, 3. There stood all 3 dogs. One with the eyes big as teacups, one with the eyes like mill wheels, and the eyes were as big as a round tower. Save me now from being hanged, said the soldier. And then the dogs flew at the judges and all the counselors, seized some of them by their legs and some of them by their noses, tossed them so high in the air, when they came down, they dashed to pieces. I won't be tossed, said the king. But the biggest dog picked them both up, king and queen, and sent them hurtling after the others. Then the soldiers got frightened, and the people all shouted out, Soldier boy, you shall be our king and have the pretty princess. And they put the soldier into the king's coach, and all 3 dogs went dancing in front of it and cried out, Hurrah! 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 The boys whistled on the fingers. The soldiers presented arms. Princess came out of that copper castle and was made queen, and how pleased she was. Wedding feast lasted for a week. And the dog sat at a table with everyone else and kept rolling the great big eyes.